All right, welcome everybody to NFL. I can't believe we're already saying this. Week 5, dear Mr. Fantasy, presented by Miller Lite. We're going to get you ready for a huge Sunday in the NFL. We're going to take your start, sit questions. We're going to go through these games and analyze it. I'm your host, Ben Mintz, joined by our other host, Stephen Shea. Mr. Shea, how are you?
Doing great. Week 5. The games are already on. The London game started at 9:30, which is always kind of a trip. But things are going great. Excited to get into it. We already have breaking news. I don't know if you saw this. Dalvin Cook inactive. Huge. I mean, Joe Mixon's going to be active. Dalvin Cook is inactive against the Lions. I'm sure that line will probably move. I believe that's an 11-point line or a 10-point line as of a few minutes ago. But we got action already. So we're going to be reacting to all of it. If you're a Dalvin Cook manager, hopefully you have Alexander Madison. You can ride with that. But we got news pouring in right now, which we love.
Yes, the actives and actives list coming out right now. A lot of people on the fence on playing today or not. We're going to run through it all. We've got a couple of people, one person returning today that I've got a close eye on too, and A.J. Brown for Tennessee with Julio Jones out. Real curious to see if his hamstring can hold up in Jacksonville. Certainly a good fantasy opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to go through any of your prop bets for today?
You can go. I've got the people I like.
Okay.
I've just got a few I like today a lot. First of all, I mean, it's an obvious one, and it's a high prop, but Derrick Henry just always murders the Jags. I mean, he just kills them. I mean, it's like –
what's his over-under? I thought it was over 100. I don't know what the
exact it was over 100 the last I saw, but I still I'm getting it right now, but I still like it just because of how bad he kills them in his career. That's crazy to have an over-under over 100 in a game. In a game, Shay, and I'm pulling up this.
Yeah, I'll hit the read at this point. We're presented by Miller Lite. Miller Lite, the reigning champion of light beers. While you're watching your team rack up Miller times and spikes in the end zone today, grab an ice cold, great tasting, less filling Miller Lite. They got Miller Lite everywhere. If you're gonna go out to the grocery store or liquor store right before the game starts, definitely gonna be there. If you can't find it, or you just don't want to leave home, go to MillerLite.com/fantasy. Get it delivered right to you for the game day. Nothing better than having a great tasting, less filling Miller Lite. 96 calories, only 3.2 grams of carbs per 12 ounces. Brewed in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Drink responsibly. Let's go.
Yeah, thanks to Miller Lite again for sponsoring the Fantasy Football Factory pod. Derrick Henry's over 114 and a half yards.
Wild line. Yeah.
Well, but I still like the over, though. Yeah. I know that's crazy. That's just wild that it's that high. But I still am looking at the over. That's because how bad this run D is. And A.J. Brown is 66.5 today. It's like I lean the over. I just hope he practiced all week. And so I feel like if he practiced, his hamstring's probably good. But his hamstring injuries on body types like that are concerning. But I still lean over 66.5 because without Julio Jones, who the hell are the rest of those guys they're throwing to? I don't even know.
No, I hear you. All right, a couple of the ones I like, I'll just kind of speed through. I like Javonte Williams. I've been kind of monitoring him all year. Over 43.5 rushing yards against
Pittsburgh.
Robert Tonyan under 33.5 yards. I believe he hasn't hit that mark the entire season. So I like Robert Tonyan under. I do love that game to go over and be a score fest. Robbie Anderson over 47.5 receiving yards. Last week, Tyreek Hill had 11 targets. Robbie Anderson also had 11 targets. They're going against Philly, who Tyreek Hill played last week. That type of player is going to give them problems. And like Miles Sanders under 45.5 rushing yards. Two more, Clyde Edwards-Helaire over 52.5 rushing yards against the Bills on Sunday night. And I like Cam Brate safely over 30.5 receiving yards against the Dolphins today. He's had at least 5 targets in back-to-back games.
I want to follow up on Cam Brate. I picked him up in 2 leagues to start him this week.
He's a good stream this week.
Yeah, well, the Dolphins have allowed 3 touchdowns to tight ends already this year in 4 weeks, too.
Yep.
So Cam Brate over 30.5 was another one of the ones I was looking at, and I like your logic on that. And also, I like Tony Pollard. If you can find Tony Pollard props today, I like them in that Giants game because Zeke's playing, but he is a little banged up. And so I feel like that's going to be, even though Zeke had the really big game last week, I feel like Pollard going to get even more touches because Zeke's got a little nicked up knee right now against the Giants.
All right, we got the actives, inactives list officially out right now. So officially active per Field Yates. Joe Mixon, Cortland Sutton, Teddy Bridgewater coming off that concussion, Melvin Gordon, Antonio Gibson with the shin. Curtis Samuel is active. I know he missed practice late in the week. TJ Hawkinson also active, officially inactive. And this is a who's who of really probably the top 2 picks in a lot of fantasy drafts. Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook both inactive. Devontae Parker inactive. And then key Packers offensive lineman, he can play guard, he can play center, Elgin Jenkins is going to be out. So that's going to hurt the Packers and their running and passing game. But let's dive into some user questions. There are a ton. If you guys can do us a favor first and just please upvote the stream, that really helps us out. All right, let's Bobby Walters. Shout out, remember to upvote. Let's go.
Yeah,
all right.
Y'all liking, sharing the stream, all y'all. And I also want to make sure I thank Nick Tranny for last week for stepping in while I was on a flight to Vegas. Heard great reports on how it went, so thank you to him.
Absolutely. All right, I'll take one from Harrison Hoover, full point PPR, Javonte Williams, Michael Pittman Jr., or Robbie Anderson. These are two of the 3 guys that I mentioned in my props. Javonte Williams, I like, is over-unders 43.5. I like Robbie Anderson a bit better, especially in PPR. He's going to catch pass. I think Robbie Anderson's going to catch a touchdown today. I think he's going to flirt with 100 yards, so I like Robbie Anderson a lot against the Eagles. So I had trouble stopping the deep ball in speedsters last week.
Yes, no, I agree with you on Robbie Anderson and this one. Javonte Williams, who I think will continue to emerge. Pittsburgh still got a hell of a good defense, so they just can't move the ball. All right, I've got a question here from Jeff Bodner, and he said Mixon, Pookie Williams, and Sutton start 2 in full PPR. Got to start Joe Mixon now that they've announced he's a go.
Yep.
And the Sutton versus Pookie Williams is a tough debate because they're both playing Pittsburgh.
Right.
Sutton had that one really big game, but he hadn't done as much other than that. I'm gonna go with Sutton still though, just because it's full point PPR and he's getting targets. And if it wasn't full point PPR, if it was half point or less, I'd be starting Pookie Williams. But with Jerry Jeudy continuing to be banged up, I think Sutton's getting targets, and so if he catches 5 or 6 balls, that's points. So that's what I'm going with there.
Yep, I think that's the right call as well. Justin McDonald, Dear Mr. Fantasy, non-PPR, Trey Sermon or DeAndre Swift with love from Canada. Love that, Justin McDonald. Elijah Mitchell is going to play today. It looks like they have a later slate game, so it won't be officially announced, but he's the prop in the Barstool Sportsbook right now. So I'm going to roll DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift has been a top 10 fantasy running back this year. I don't think that there's a situation where you can really sit him. So I really like DeAndre Swift. Even though we don't know the status of Elijah Mitchell, which we assume is going to be a go, I'm going to go with DeAndre Swift.
I saw a question. These questions are flying up and down our screen on the right, which is awesome. Thank y'all so much for participating. That's what we're all about. I've got one that said Chase. It said Jamar Chase or Emmanuel Sanders in the flex, and it's Jamar Chase. It's 100,000,000%. I think Chase is a start every week, and also Green Bay with that Jaire Alexander, their top corner, who looks like he's headed out, is on IR. Yep. He's the number 1 lockdown corner. He's a huge loss in that defense. As you mentioned, Shay, kind of like the over. That's going to be a higher scoring game. Green Bay, Cincinnati. Love Jamar Chase this week. Yeah,
Emmanuel Sanders, he had a nice game. He had 2 touchdowns, but when you break it down, he had 6 targets. So he's had 6 targets, or at least 6 targets in every game that's this season. That's solid, but he hasn't really turned it into full production. I'd be a little bit cautious still on Emmanuel Sanders in Buffalo. I would put him as a wide receiver 3.
Yeah, the problem is you've got Beasley, Diggs, and Dawson Knox emerging, and so while Sanders is getting targets, it's just a lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah. Mincy, did you retweet the stream?
I thought I did.
Okay.
But I'll be
just making sure. The live one from FFF.
I am right now.
Okay, cool. All right, PPR, Marquise Hollywood Brown, Cortland Sutton, or Kenny Golladay. I love the Giants-Cowboys matchup later. What scares me a little bit is the guy that's going to be playing opposite Kenny Golladay. Diggs is looking like he's going to be potentially a defensive player of the year. He's got an interception in every game this year.
5, crazy.
Yeah. So I would be a little bit cautious going against Trayvon Diggs. So I would go with Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown, he's been hot this year. Even last week with more diminished yardage than he's been used to the rest of this year. He still caught a touchdown. I like him to stretch the defense.
His target share is awesome in that offense too, because they literally just throw to him and the tight end and that, like Andrews. That's literally it. Yep. So I agree. He's hot. And as long as – with Hollywood Brown, talent's there. If it's just can his body hold up and can he stay healthy? And right now he's healthy. So I'm continuing to go with him. Full point PPR, I've got T. Higgins or Pittman Jr. in flex for Matthew Rooney. Higgins back from the injury. I'm going with Higgins because I don't like Pittman against Baltimore. I just don't like that matchup at all. I know it's kind of tough with Higgins, Boyd, and Chase, but Boyd's roles in the slot is kind of defined, and Higgins and Chase are outside. And I'm going to go with Higgins. I mean, I'm just going with the Bengals passing game without Alexander out there and Burrow today.
Yeah, absolutely. I like Higgins as well. All right. Bobby Walter. Oh, he's the guy that set up with the stream. So yeah, I'll definitely take this question. Dear Mr. Fantasy, full point PPR, Antonio Brown, Michael Pittman Jr., or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Antonio Brown does pretty well against Miami. It's not in Miami. He's from Miami. So that's just always something I like to keep on my radar. Pittman against Baltimore, like their defense is they're just so loaded in the secondary. I'm not comfortable, especially with Carson Wentz throwing the ball. Like
I just don't see how Wentz has a good game at Baltimore.
Yeah, I don't love that matchup. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I love a lot tonight. When you look at last year against the Bills, he played in one game, and that game was the game that they basically Buffalo forced Clyde Edwards-Helaire to beat them, and they gave him carries, and he did beat them. So I think Buffalo is going to do a similar style of attack today. I think it's going to be a little bit more of a low-scoring game where they're just going to back everyone up and not let Tyreek Hill beat them. He had a huge game against them in the playoffs, and I think they're going to make the Kansas City rushing game be patient and beat them. So I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire a lot today as a play in fantasy.
I do too. He had 26 for 161 in that game you're referring to last year, and got to say it, we were bagging really hard on Edwards-Helaire, but he's kind of come on the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
we call it like we see. Look, we're right some, we're wrong some. We own it either way. And Edwards-Helaire has responded pretty well, a lot better than I expected. Because, like I said, when I watch him play, the eye test isn't necessarily the strongest. We got a question from Duddy Jefferson, and we'll just say this: if you're one of the paying YouTube, what is the way it works with the people?
Super chat.
The super chat ones. We're going to try to make sure we take them. He's got the Patriots defense in Houston against Davis Mills, or Buffalo's defense against Patrick Mahomes. Gonna go ahead and tell you to start the Patriots on that one.
I just want to say this. I think Houston beats the Patriots today.
They might. I got the under in that game. I think it's going to be just ugly. The Patriots have 4 start no linemen out this game.
I know, that's the reason. Yeah,
4 linemen out.
Brown is out. Don't be surprised.
This game's going to be like 10-7. I mean, it's going to be bad. But I got the under in it. But I am definitely going with the Patriots defense against Davis Mills. He's struggling, rookie quarterback right now. Buffalo has a fun defense in fantasy, but I mean, at Patrick Mahomes. And the other thing too is like a tip that one thing in fantasy when you're looking for like spots like this, like on who to start a defense, look at the NFL over under. And the one in the Patriots Texans is 39, and it's 56.5 in the Chiefs Bills. You probably want to start the defense in the lower scoring game. Just a little tip.
Yep. All right, Sab Rossi in the Che Hive. Shout out. We got Cole Beasley or Kadarius Toney, half point PPR. Cole Beasley is a pretty steady option. He's going to have a high floor just because he does get so many targets. I love Kadarius Toney today. I'm going to take his over in receiving yards. I think he could get in the end zone today. Cowboys Giants is a prime time matchup. It's going to be an America's Game of the Week slot. I love Kadarius Toney today. We mentioned the Galladay versus Diggs. I actually think the Giants could win today as well. I bet that money line, and I like Kadarius Toney a lot today. So he is actually going to be. I'll use my start of the day on Dalton Schultz, but Kadarius Toney is going to get honorable mention as start of the day as well.
I've got a question from Eric Shive, and this is a tough one. It's a full sit one and a full point PPR. He's got Jamar Chase, who I can't sit, Mari Cooper, who always gets a ton of targets from Dak, Alexander Madison, who's one of the top running back plays now that Dalvin Cook is announced out, and Kareem Hunt, who's been doing very, very well in that time split with Nick Chubb. And this is brutally hard. You can't sit Chase or Madison, in my opinion. So it comes down to Cooper or Hunt. And I think I'm going to bench Hunt here just because Cooper gets a lot of targets. That's a very, very tough one because I do like Kareem Hunt, but a full point PPR, Dak likes to throw to Amari a lot, so I have a hard time sitting him down.
Yeah, this is a really hard one. I mean, are we benching Kareem Hunt? He's a top 10 fantasy running
back.
I know.
No, it's only because it's full point PPR though. Because how do you bench Amari when Dak likes to look to him so much? And I mean, this is a very tough one. You can't bench Madison though. No way.
Yeah.
But thank you for the question.
Yeah. All right. Full point PPR: Kareem Hunt, Leonard Fournette, Marquise Brown, Tyler Boyd. So I guess we're choosing one of this group, which is going to be tough. I mean, I'm going to eliminate Fournette. Fournette is good, and he had 20 carries last week. One thing I would caveat is Giovanni Bernard is coming back this week. So a lot of his third down duties are going to be taken away. I would just caveat that for anyone potentially starting playoff Lenny today. Tyler Boyd's going to be in what I think is going to be a really high scoring matchup. So he's certainly a target. But with T. Higgins coming back, his target share could go down. Hollywood Brown's been really hot, and I love the Monday night plays, especially for a guy that's so boomer bust like that. He could win you a matchup if you think you're out of it. But Kareem Hunt is the safest play for Cleveland. I mean, he's a top 10 fantasy running back. It's hard to put those guys on the bench. So I would say if you're in a safe matchup where you're projecting as even or even winning, I would play Hunt. If you're projected to lose, I would go probably Hollywood Brown.
I got a question from Liam Sweeney. He says, full PPR, which two flexes? Jacoby Myers at Houston, Cortland Sutton at Pittsburgh, Zach Moss at KC. I'm going Moss and Sutton. I just can't go with anybody in this New England-Houston game if I can help it in fantasy. We talked about the Patriots have the 4-0 linemen out. I think it's going to be a low-scoring, ugly game. I don't think by any stretch Denver-Pittsburgh's a shootout either, but I still am going to go with Sutton over Myers here. So I'm going with Sutton and Zach Moss.
I like that. Here we
Keep
go.
Coming, by the way. Love all the stoolies.
Here we go. This is a great question from Kevin Off. Full point PPR. We got Joe Mixon, who is going to play, or Chuba Hubbard, who's going to start against Philadelphia. As much as I like Hubbard, and I think he could do well, his rushing TDs could get vultured by Sam Darnold, who leads the league in rushing touchdowns. You got to go Joe Mixon here. If he's healthy, he's your guy. He's dance with the person who brought you. Joe Mixon is that guy. I think it's going to be a high scoring game against Green Bay, so I really like Mixon. Probably to score today. So I'm rolling with Joe Mixon.
The one thing too on the Bengals this year, which is really interesting, is you can tell last year they let Joe Burrow out to dry. They had a bad O-line. They threw too much. They're really trying to establish Mixon and be balanced this year to protect Burrow's knee. I feel like when you watch their games, Mixon's so heavily involved. So you got to roll with them. I got a really tough question from Grant Bigham. He's got CeeDee Lamb at home against the Giants or A.J. Brown at Jacksonville. Damn, got two good options there. He's got to sit one of them. This hurts. This hurts to say to sit either one of them. And I'm gambling on my guy. And look, I'll admit I'm biased. A.J. Brown. I'm wearing the Ole Miss hat.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But I mean, you got to go with A.J. Brown here because they don't have anybody else to throw the damn ball to. Without Julio Jones out there, I mean, they got like Ferks or who the hell are their other guys? And so, look, I know it's a gamble because AJ's coming off the hamstring injury, but he practiced all week. And the fact that he was able to practice all week makes me feel better about him. He's the number one. There's no number two. So I'm going with A.J. Brown here, even though, God, it's hard to sit CeeDee Lamb. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, you can take that one. That's totally your guy, and I get it. I mean, if you stack him up, preseason rankings, A.J. Brown obviously hasn't been healthy, but A.J. Brown's going to be over CeeDee Lamb in everyone's ranking, so I can totally understand that. Where was it? I saw one from Billy Fisher I wanted to take. Here we go. Where was it? DeAndre Hopkins, Jamar Chase, Robbie Anderson, Jacoby Myers, pick two, full point PPR. So let's just eliminate Jacoby Myers from this. We don't want anyone. Yeah. We're not taking anyone.
Cross off anybody in New England, Houston, outside the fantasy defenses.
Yeah. So I said I love Robbie Anderson today. I do. But over Jamar Chase or DeAndre Hopkins, absolutely not. You got to go with the more consistent, steady performers. I think Robbie Anderson could offer maybe the highest ceiling of this group. Jamar Chase probably actually, but he's going to be right there, I think, with Robbie Anderson. But he also offers maybe the lowest floor. DeAndre Hopkins and Jamar Chase are safe. Hopkins has not performed up to expectations this year, but I still like him, especially against San Francisco, who I believe he averaged 12 targets a game against them last year. So I know his target share this year is down, but DeAndre Hopkins, you got to ride with him. Jamar Chase, I think, is going to be the safest of this bunch.
Do you think is Hopkins' rib injury still affecting him, you think?
I mean, he wasn't listed on the injury report this week, so he should be, full go this week. Last week he wasn't. He played in the week before. Yes, but hopefully he can turn around this week.
I got a question from another super user, Evan Paddock. He's got a full point PPR, and I'm actually going to ask for your help on this one, Shay, because this is an interesting debate. It's T. Higgins or Allen Robinson as receiver too, and it's like, man, Fields looked better last week, but he's not completing a lot of passes. The way their offense is, what are they trying to complete? 12 or 13, and he's also going to Mooney down the field.
Yes.
And so I think I'm going to go Higgins here. I just can't trust the Chicago passing game. I trust Joe Burrow so much more than I trust Justin Fields. I feel like the thing is with Robinson, I'm worried he could have 2 for 20, And
exactly,
I feel like Higgins in a full point PPR, you're going to get 4 for 50 from Higgins. And, so I think maybe Robinson has bigger upside, but the floor is better with Higgins. I'm going to sit Robinson down until I have more trust in this passing game.
I would totally agree with that. I have a share of Allen Robinson in my big league, and it makes me so nervous every week. Just because with Andy Dalton as the quarterback, he's getting a ton of targets. Like I think he had 11 targets week 1, and he had 5 or 6 catches for 36 yards. And it's not super worrisome because it's like, all right, the targets are there, he'll pick it up. But now you're right with Justin Fields throwing. If they're going to chuck it 20 times, he's completing even 60% of those. That's 12. Like, realistically, how many of those is Allen Robinson catching? So they're going to run the ball and they're going to go deep with Darnell Mooney. Allen Robinson certainly will be able to move the chains in between, but I wouldn't stake a fantasy performance on that. He's got to be on the bench until he can, have a nice game to make you feel a little bit better about it.
That's how I feel too. And I admit I kind of drank the Kool-Aid a little more than I should have in that Cleveland fiasco 2 weeks ago when Myles Garrett had 4.5 sacks. And we put the do not disturb on everything. All right, next up, I got never mind. I don't see a question from him. You go ahead. You got this next one.
Okay. Let's go. JJ Shaw, full point PPR, Alexander Madison, or where to go? Or James Conner. So James Conner is coming off a very hot week. He is the goal line back in Arizona, which is very fruitful because they are a very good offense. That being said, it's very risky starting someone who is so touchdown dependent. I would expect a regression from last week as far as the Cardinals rushing attack because it was so good. I'm going to start Alexander Madison. I think he is an absolute must start this week, given that Dalvin Cook is out. Alexander Madison is one of the most capable backup running backs in the league, and he's playing Detroit. This is a game that, for the most part, should be. I mean, it's a 10-point line, so you're thinking that the Vikings are going to salt the clock away. Alexander Madison is an absolute must start in any format this week.
Yeah, I agree. You have to go with them. And also want to add, you mentioned Connor. Chase Edmonds is a game-time decision today. I think he's going to go, but that's not a sure thing, and that means Connor probably a little more of a workload today.
Yeah, it's always tough with those because that's going to be a late slate game, so we're not going to find out that until 90 minutes before kick. And Madison's game is going to be, the hay's going to be almost in the barn at that point. So you're going to want to, you obviously have to make this decision early. And I'm going to go with the safer play with Madison because the worst thing you can do is sit Madison. He has a great game, and then you find out that Edmonds is playing, and then you're kind of stuck. So I would definitely go Madison here.
Okay. All right, here's a good one from Nick Hassett. He says, full point PPR. He needs 2 of the 3 to start. Mike Williams at home against Cleveland, DeAndre Hopkins at home against San Fran, or Mike Evans at home against Miami. Pretty good question here. I can't bench.
Good problem to have, yeah.
I can't bench Mike Williams right now. I think he's getting too hot, too big a target share. He's healthy. He's always dealt with the back injuries. The upside's already been there. So the question is, D-Hop at home against San Fran or Mike Evans at home against Miami? And I'm sorry, Shay. I think I'm going D-Hop here.
I think that's the right call.
Yeah, I just when I look, Miami's got good, you look at Howard and Jones, they've got good outside corners. And I see Tampa Bay Miami as like not the high scoring game, actually. I think it's going to be a little ugly. I think Tampa will win.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with D-Hop at home and Arizona on the fast track against San Fran. So I'm going D-Hop and Mike Williams.
The full gamut of Bucs receivers are healthy today outside of Gronk, and we got Cam Brate going to be in there, so I think he's going to kind of, we got the same shirt on. Nice.
Sunday football. Make sure you get them.
Get this in the Barstool store. But yeah, it's just too risky of a play with Mike Evans, and he has been hot lately as far as like consistency, and Brady's really hitting that timing route, that 20-yard comeback with him with kind of at ease, and they're picking up chunk plays. That being said, I would go DeAndre Hopkins. I just think he has a higher ceiling today. And Mike Williams for sure. All right. Full point PPR, Antonio Gibson or Leonard Fournette. This is from Jake Morgan. Antonio Gibson has the shin injury. He's going to play. The New Orleans front gives me a little bit of pause. Mincy, how do you feel about this one? I'm just going to loop you into this one.
I feel really good about the Saints' run defense. Another thing with Gibson that gives me pause is McKissick's all over the field catching passes again. And that was the big thing you had on Shea right before the year was that he was a 3-down back. Yep. But McKissick's been a huge part of that offense the last few weeks. And so I think I kind of think I hate to say it because I do like Gibson as a player, but I think I'd probably go with Fournette here. What do you think? Yeah,
so one thing I was looking for is if you can find or if it becomes available, the Ronald Jones as a prop in the Barstool Sportsbook. He's not available right now. Leonard Fournette became available this morning. His over-under rushing total, I think, is like 59.5, so it's pretty high. I think I'll have a good game. I think this is going to be a game where the Bucs blow it out, and I think Ronald Jones is going to get a lot of carries. He did a nice job last week. He scored the touchdown. The coaching staff has lost some confidence in him. I think this is kind of a get-right game for Ronald Jones, and that's why it's pretty frustrating to be an owner of Bucs players outside of really Tom Brady because the consistency is not really going to be there. Like Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, who's going to have the hot hand? It's really playing Russian roulette really with your fantasy lineup. So I would go, I see where you're coming from with McKissick. I think Fournette is a little bit risky today. This could really go either way. I would go with the higher rating, which for me would be Gibson, but I can totally see the logic there in Fournette.
Yeah, no, it's a really close one because the Saints do have such a good front, and that's the strength of their team. I got a question from Ransom Dorazio, and I wanted to get a question on Damian Williams because I'm seeing a lot of them.
Yep.
With David Montgomery out, and he says Damian Williams, Zach Moss, or Naheem Hines in a full point PPR, and I'm going to roll Damian Williams here with David Montgomery out.
Assuming he's playing. They're playing the Raiders in the late slate, I believe, right? So we're not going to find out. Right now he's questionable, I believe, but assuming he plays, which I think he will, I think he had a thigh contusion, which is a tough injury for a running back. But I mean, assuming he's playing, he's going to get a ton of work. So he is certainly.
And when you look at the Chicago offense with Justin Fields, they got to run the ball, and they're going to have Fields as a running threat. They're going to try to take pressure. Bill Lazar is calling plays now. Thank God after Nagy relinquished play calling duties 2 weeks ago. And I just think you got to go with them. Damian Williams can really run. It's a fast track in Vegas. And so I like him. And I do like Zach Moss, but he's splitting time. So I'm going to go with Williams here. And Naheem Hines, will catch some balls, a lot of checkdowns in that Baltimore game because the Wentz is going to have to dump off too. So you look at this on paper and it doesn't look like three of the best options, but it's better than you think.
Yeah. Also, just coming through, Julio Jones is going to be out today. I think we kind of knew that, but unofficially he's going to be out.
Yeah, so he's one of the big, lot of big people out today. And I'll say this in fantasy too. Before the year, we had McCaffrey 1, and then there was a lot of debate on Cook, Henry 2, 3. Man, from now on, I'm just having Henry 1 because of the durability. I've just had Cook gets banged up every year. Every year. And McCaffrey, the full point PPR, I get it. You got to kind of have to have him. But, man, Henry, he's just like that Chevrolet Silverado. It's so durable, man.
The best ability is availability.
Especially running back in fantasy.
Yeah. At Ben Line had a question I believe we had highlighted before. I can't actually see the question right now. Marty, do you have that up? We'll move on if you don't have it up in a sec.
Two people are asking Herbert or Burrow. Or actually, it's the same person asked it twice. Herbert at home against Cleveland, Burrow at home against Green Bay. I'm going Burrow here.
Yep.
Because Cleveland – man, because last year Cleveland was playing all the shootouts. They had a ton of people out in the secondary and a lot of injuries last year. That defensive effort at Minnesota last week, I thought was one of the best all season because Minnesota had been scoring on everybody, and they held them to 7 on that fast track. That really showed me something. And so with that, I'm going Burrow against Green Bay. I just think it's a better matchup right now. I think Cleveland's defense really impressed me last week. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I'm also going to go Burrow. I think that's going to be a high-scoring game. I love I took it in the props. Burrow and Rodgers both over 1.5 touchdowns. I think this is going to be a shootout.
Really and fun then also that may be one of the most fun games we've got today, too.
Absolutely. Who would have thought we'd be talking about Bengals-Packers as one of the most fun games, but here we are. And then the second part of that question. The second part of that question, Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Chuba Hubbard? Clyde Edwards-Helaire I spoke about earlier. I think he's going to have a really solid game against Buffalo tonight.
I've got another one. Brandon Vicero says James Robinson, Damian Williams, or Madison. It's Madison all day. I mean, I've got Madison as like a top 3 running back ranking today with Cook out and up against Detroit. I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, totally agree. Let's go. We kind of answered that one before. Let's go. MRum123, pick 2, half-point PPR, Joe Mixon, Miles Sanders, Javonte Williams, Devin Singletary. So I think Mixon's going to be automatic. Every week he should be a guy in half-point PPR. For the third, Miles Sanders, Pookie Williams, Devin Singletary. I would say definitely not Miles Sanders, just because we're seeing Kenny Gainwell really get a lot of shares in the backfield.
Not liking what's going on there either.
Yeah, I'm not liking what's going on in the Miles Sanders boat, so he's out. So Devin Singletary or Pookie Williams, we're talking about 2 guys in timeshares, right? What I'm going to look at with these 2 matchups is end zone opportunities, and right now with Buffalo, you see Zach Moss getting those opportunities. I think Singletary has the chance to certainly be I think he probably has a higher floor right now than Pookie Williams, but I think Pookie Williams in this game, even against Pittsburgh, who's a good run defense, has a safer floor. Singletary has a higher ceiling. Pookie Williams has a safer floor, just because he does get those goal line carries, and he is going to get somewhere between 10 and 15 carries. So I like Pookie Williams as the number 2 guy.
Okay, I could see that. Got from the Pavlik another Damian Williams question. It's Damian Williams, Miles Sanders, or Juju? I'm going with Damian Williams here.
Yes.
I really don't like Juju is a bench every week right now with what's going on in the Pittsburgh passing game, and then Deontay Johnson's clearly their one. I know Claypool's been a little banged up, but right now I don't think Juju. I mean, I think he's like barely fringe to be on fantasy rosters even. That's how down I am on Juju Smith-Schuster right now.
Yep. All right, let's go. Half point PPR Jamal Williams of the Lions or James Conner. So again, this is going to be a little bit tough just because we don't know the status of Chase Edmonds, and it's a later slate game. I think this is one where you can take a little bit of a risk because Conner and Williams are both in timeshares, really. DeAndre Swift has the highest upside of this group, but Chase Edmonds has more upside, in my opinion, than James Conner, just because he's going to get more work. Conner's going to get the work around the goal line, but that is going to be kind of tricky, especially with a running quarterback like Kyler. But in this case, given the injury to Chase Edmonds and it's kind of uncertain, Conner has a much higher ceiling today. So I'm going to roll with James Conner.
Wow. Awesome. I just got a message. It was unbelievable. Okay. I just got a message from the governor of Mississippi to Brandon Walker and me on Twitter, thanking us for how well we represent Mississippi on a national level at Barstool.
Read it out loud.
Tate Reeves. Hey, just wanted to say I've seen how well you rep Mississippi at the national level with Barstool. Great for the state to have 2 big media personalities. Wow. Dang, man.
Wow.
Governor of Mississippi. That's pretty cool, man.
Wow. Ted Reeves, you said? Is his name?
Tate Reeves, governor of Mississippi.
Tate Reeves.
That's freaking wild, man. I'm kind of buzzing right now. That's cool.
Pretty awesome.
Quick 30 seconds, too, because one thing on the pod, people like hearing about our day-to-day lives and stuff. I'm out in Vegas on I flew last Sunday morning because Nick. So I've been out here playing World Series of Poker. I played 5 events. I've cashed 2. My poker game's still actually pretty damn good after a couple years off. I feel good about it. Been getting a lot of support from the Stoolies. And today I'm playing an online tournament tonight at a $400 one. But it's been really, really fun being out in Vegas. And I'm actually staying at the M Resort, a Penn property, and I'm going to kind of hang out here and watch the games this afternoon. So
love that. Man, 7 or 8 days in Vegas. That is.
Yeah, but it's like not. It's so funny, Shay. I know you're obviously a family man, young kid. So you're.
I love Vegas. I've been there half a dozen times probably.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I've been way more than that, but it's so funny. Like, I'm 38 now, and I used to just party. And, like, dude, I'm up at 7 a.m. eating breakfast, having my coffee every morning. Somebody was taking fireball shots at 7 a.m. at the cafe yesterday, and I looked at them, and I'm just like, jeez.
That was not breakfast. That was late dinner.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's how I used to – I don't know. It's just funny, like, being in this, like, side of life because I used to be, like, the wild man, and now I'm just, like, the dude
Right.
that's, like, up, like, drinking my coffee and exercise.
Yeah.
It's just a total mental thing. It's crazy.
Yeah. I like this question from Mo Lester. PPR flex, Laviska Shenault, Jacoby Myers, or Darnell Mooney? So again, let's eliminate Myers from this discussion. He is last on this list. I think it's an interesting question. You got Laviska Shenault with DJ Chark, banged up. Shenault certainly is an appealing option, especially going against Tennessee, or Darnell Mooney. Going against Vegas.
I love Shenault against Tennessee without Shark there. I love it.
Yeah, no, I'm leaning towards Shenault. I think Mooney has like big play upside, but yeah, we're talking about Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is better for Darnell Mooney than Andy Dalton was, but still, yeah, I like Shenault there, especially.
Shenault's over under, so I'm looking at the props in this Tennessee game. It's 58.5. I like over. I'm actually going to add the over in Titans, Jags, and Bengals, Packers to my card. I released my gambling card already on my Twitter. But I like Laviska Shenault over 58.5. I mean, it's just a target share thing without DJ Shark there. And, man, I'd even be willing to – I'm looking for Marvin Jones's. If Marvin Jones is 62.5, I'd look at that even. But I like Shenault more than Marvin Jones. I'm
getting roasted in the chat for falling for Mo Lester. You got me, Chad. I appreciate that.
I hate to sound like a clueless idiot, but
yeah, that totally went over my head.
I don't get it. What's Mo? Who's Mo? I don't get it. Is that like what?
It's good that you don't know. A molester.
Oh, God, I'm so gullible. Molester, huh?
That is very funny.
I just go on Madison or Taylor. That's Madison. Easily all day. Just make that super simple. Butler 14's got a tough one. It's a full point PPR, Hollywood Brown or Kenny Golladay, because I like both matchups.
Mm-hmm.
I still think I'm going Hollywood Brown, though.
Yep.
This one could burn you because Golladay has looked good lately.
Yep.
But Hollywood Brown right now, his target share is too good. And plus, hey, Shay, you always say this. This may not be like a factual thing, but when in doubt, I like him the Monday Nighter. I do.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, let's take 4 more real quick before I have to get out of here. There was one that I liked. 2 Alabama receivers. Accrue this 5, Devonta Smith or Henry Ruggs. Ruggs is a huge, big play threat. You see him down the field. Is he a reliable fantasy starter? I wouldn't go as far to say so. Devonta Smith going against the Panthers, who are a very good defense, but are banged up in the secondary. You see them, trade for Stephon Gilmore. I'm going to lean Devonta Smith here just because I can see that being a little bit more back and forth game. And I think he's got a little bit safer of a floor here.
I agree with this. Ruggs is super boomer bust, but against Chicago, I kind of see it just being an uglier game. I just think it's going to be kind of like I don't know. I actually thought about going Vegas. I'm in Vegas,
Oh.
And I'm staying at the M is the official Las Vegas Raiders hotel.
Right. Oh, let's go.
They have a shuttle to the damn game. So I thought about it, but I'm going to watch all the games in the sportsbook and play the online tournament. So.
Fair.
So hopefully we'll have another chance. So I got an interesting question, and it was a guy says he's playing against Dak. Does he start CeeDee Lamb or T. Higgins? I mean, you definitely start CeeDee Lamb here, I think. Both teams have the 3 receiver thing going, but I like Lamb more than Higgins is coming off an injury, and Lamb's just his upside so good that I'll go with Lamb here.
Yeah, I like that too. It is nice to see if your guy catches it, you cancel out the other guy and even get more points. Typically, if you're assuming you're in a 4-point per passing touchdown league. All right, let's go half point. That's from Mitchell Osterlund. We'll do 2 more after this. Half point PPR, choose 2: Chris Godwin, Allen Robinson, T. Higgins, Jalen Waddle. So I think Chris Godwin for sure. It looks like he is probably Tom Brady's preferred receiver of the 3. It's pretty tight, but I like him to have a decent day today. And then I'm going to go T. Higgins. I don't trust Allen Robinson, and Jalen Waddle is really boomer bust. The Bucs secondary is very banged up. But I really think he's just too boomer bust. So I'm going to go T. Higgins.
I just don't trust Jacoby Brissett either, to be honest.
Yeah. All right, let's go 2 more minutes. So you hit one.
half-point PPR from Ben Baker. I'm taking the question because you got a great name in Ben. I hope you rock it. Well, Marvin Jones Jr., Mike Williams, or OBJ, sit one. I'm sitting OBJ here. I think Marvin Jones' value just goes up to me a lot because DJ Shark's injury, and he's playing Tennessee, who hasn't stopped the pass in forever. And so I like that. I like that matchup. And then Mike Williams is just a must start no matter what right now. I mean,
yes.
And OBJ, it's one thing after another. So I got to see more on the field before I go down this road again.
Ben Baker says he's a superhero on his off days. Good for you, Ben. All right, take the last one from Alejandro Afont, half-point PPR, 16-team league, Myles Gaskin or Kenny Gainwell. I saw Myles Gaskin, his over-under rushing yards. He's the starting running back for Miami Dolphins. Mincy, guess the line on him.
It's got to be low, though, because he's not really. Is he starting still? I mean, last week he was their number 2. I feel like his role, because Malcolm Brown's been eating into his role. His over-under is what, like 29 yards?
19.5.
I don't know, man. The target share last week, Brown got more carries. And Gaskin, you watch him play, and he's just a guy in a uniform, man. You look at that eye test, man. He doesn't pop. There's no burst. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, it's tough that these are, between two starts. I would go with Kenny Gainwell. He's been emerging. The Eagles use a lot of like orbit motions, jet sweep motions with him. He played receiver for a little bit in college. He can also catch the ball. He catches a lot of passes. So especially half-point PPR. I know Gaskins catches the ball as well, but I like Kenny Gainwell. And that has been Dear Mr. Fantasy today. Week 5 in the books. We got to get this up on the blog. So appreciate everyone for tuning in, asking questions. This is my favorite 45 minutes a week. I love it.
Real quick update. Jets coming back. They were down 20-3, and it's 20-17 now.
Yep. I mean, the Falcons are in the red zone. So
if anybody's capable of blowing a big lead, though, we know.
Yeah, it's true.
It's this bunch. But yeah, thank you to Miller Lite once again for sponsoring Dear Mr. Fantasy. And I keep thanking the listeners. I know I'm probably almost annoying how much I thank you guys, but fantasy, more than almost anything else, fantasy is about the listener interaction. Literally, there's no show without y'all. And y'all asking questions, join us every week. Subscribing, liking the pod, just everything y'all do just means so much to Shay and I. This is our first year doing this. We hope to be doing this for a long time, and y'all's support is the only way we can do that. So thank y'all for sharing, liking, everything, 5-star reviews. We really just appreciate all of it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much, and good luck. See you guys in the winner circle.
Yeah, and good luck to the Saints today too. I'm nervous.